Want to know what the appropriate price is for your product or service? We've got you covered today. Welcome to the WorkHARDAholic Show with your host, the original WorkHARDaholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better. Hello, and welcome back to WorkHARDaholics. I am Shirley Crawford, your host, the original WorkHARDaholic, and today, you all are talking and I am listening. I keep hearing you say you're not sure exactly what you should charge for your product, your service, whatever it is you're putting out into the world. Well, today I want to make sure that you understand how you should be figuring out exactly where you should be priced. So normally when I'm having a consultation, I sit down and we have a conversation about opportunity cost, product and manufacturing costs. Like there are certain costs that are a given, right? If you're making t-shirts, you got to pay for the shirts. You got to pay for the ink if you're screen printing. You got to pay for the equipment. You have to pay for the DTF, the DTG. You have to pay for all those things. Beyond that, though, what should your price be? You're like, that's your question? Okay, let's talk about the answer. So here's the deal. The first thing I always talk about, once you know exactly what it costs you to produce that product or service. The next thing is, before you tell me, okay, so it costs me, I'm using t-shirts as an example because it's a really popular business model, right? But it's just an example for whatever industry you're in, this applies to YOU. So you start off by recognizing what all the materials, the manufacturing, the labeling, what all that costs you. But here's the place where a lot of you are cheating yourselves blind when it comes to your business. You're forgetting about the opportunity cost. You're forgetting about your time and labor. We know how much it costs us to pay so-and-so, but we never think about what does it cost you in time to do this thing. So like for my speakers, how y'all doing out there? You're preparing for an event. It's not just the 30, 45 minutes, hour, day of your time that you're spending at the event. How much time does it take you to prepare? How much time does it take you to research? How much time are you using to drive there? So a lot of times we go, well, we know what the federal government regulation is about how much we can charge per mile. That's great. But if it took you a day and a half to get someplace, I think about the fact we just went to Hawaii. Now it's 6 hours behind. It's a whole thing to get there. It's a whole thing to get back. All of that time is time you could have been doing something else. That counts. So when you're saying, okay, well, I'm making this, I'm doing this, I'm providing this, I'm looking at what it cost me and then increasing that by whatever markup, that's not enough. In the end, you've gypped yourself in your time, your energy, your effort, your time, your thought, how much of you had to go into making that happen, right? So that's where we start. We start off by knowing what does it cost us, not only in materials, not only in the things that you had to purchase, not just in the tangible things, but in the intangible things as well. How much of your electricity do you have to use to produce that shirt? You understand all the things you have to think about, the marketing, the advertisement. And a lot of times we lump it all in. That's why you need better books, but that's another story for another day. Right now, I just want you to think about what is everything that goes into making this happen, right? Then you divide it up across how many you're making, and that's when you know this is my cost per unit. So that could be as far as your cost per unit for your service, a cost per unit for your materials that you're providing, whatever that might be. Okay, you calculated that out. You've also figured out how much of you had to go into it. Then you're going to figure out, okay, so it cost me X to make this thing happen. The question for you becomes, who do you want to be in the market? Right? So we look at these pricing models. I always say Walmart. I'm skipping over Dollar Tree. Sorry. If that's who you want to be, you can be. But that's a interesting market. I saw it was Walmart. I go to Target, or I might even say Macy's. And then I go Lord & Taylor. All right. Or insert your high-end market here. Okay. If you want to be the Lord and Taylor of your industry, then you're going to be the premier premium. You're going to price accordingly. It's also going to change all the cost of what it takes you to create the item that you're doing, because you're going to have to add on all the extras. You're going to have that mint chocolate philosophy, right? That pillow, if you go into a really nice, if you go to a really nice establishment, as far as a hotel, they're going to provide you with a lush robe. There's going to be Egyptian cotton sheets. There's going to be that little mint on the pillow, and not just a cheap little Andes. No offense to you, Andes, but it's going to be a premier brand. The shampoo is going to be premier brand. If you want to be luxury, you have to charge luxury, but you also have to provide luxury. Okay? But maybe you're like, I don't want to do all of that. I want to do great, but I don't want to be Lord and Taylor, Bellagio. I can't even say it because I can't buy it. Okay, I can, but I won't. It's not worth it to me. A lot of times we think, I want to get into the industry. I just want to be the cheapest one. The cheapest one, because then I can make the sale. I can get more sales. Walmart, the Walmart brand, the reason that Walmart is known as being so mercenary is because they have to squash all the competition around them, and they do that by undercutting everyone. But how are they able to undercut? Because they have warehouses full of stuff. Now, when you go in to get an ink pen, they don't have one. They have thousands of ink pens that they're distributing across the world. So when they're purchasing, they have that wholesale value. Right? So a lot of people are like, well, you're using Temu to get it from China. Walmart has their own system. So they're getting this for pennies and selling it to you for dollars. But if you're going to be the Walmart price leader, you have to have a lot of inventory. So now your prices have gone up because you have to have someplace to store it. You can't drop ship all of that. So the first thing for you to know when you're thinking about, where do I want to price? First things first, figure out exactly what it costs you in materials. And then in your energy, effort, time, thought, research, packaging, labeling, all of that stuff. But don't forget to include the human capital as well. Then once you've done that, you're going to decide for yourself, who do you want to be? Do you want to be Walmart? Do you want to be Macy's? Do you want to be Lord & Taylor? And then you're going to price accordingly, but you're going to also make sure that you're providing the service that matches your price point. If you're the Walmart provider, you don't put a mint on the pillow. They're doing good to get, a smile when they come into the store. Okay? Those type of things you want to keep in mind when you're considering, how should I price my business? After you've done those two things, you have to stop for a moment and think to yourself, okay, I know I said I want to be Lord & Taylor. You need to know your competition. Who else is out there doing what? And then you need to know locally, regionally, nationally, eventually internationally, potentially. But you want to see, what is everyone else charging? What are they providing? You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you have to know who's out there doing what and be able to share how you're different. All right, so that's part one of our conversation on pricing, but come back, there's more right after this commercial break.
Ladies, are you ready for an afternoon of tea, networking, and inspiration? Join us for the annual Boss Ladies Who Tea event happening on July 15th at Meadowbrook Country Club. Sip on specialty teas, connect with like-minded women, and hear from guest speakers. Tickets are available on Eventbrite, so don't wait. Just search Boss Ladies Who Tea and get your tickets today. You don't want to miss this exclusive event.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Wouldn't it be convenient and safe to communicate with your dentist, pediatrician, medical doctor, or mental health professional anywhere you are without actually traveling to our medical centers?
Well, you can with a televisit at your local Capital Area Health Network. Call us at 780-0840 or go to cahealthnet.org. Find out how a televisit may be your best option. We are the Capital Area Health Network, the heart of the community.
Listen, Attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
During these challenging times, Richmond Dentistry for Children wants to remind you that we've been here for you and your children for over 25 years. Your child's body is their temple and their teeth are the doorway to good health. We provide compassionate pediatric dental care Monday through Friday. Call 804-780-2888 for your appointment or come to our office at 300 West Broad Street. RichmondDentistryForChildren.com, serving Central Virginia. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. For those of you who've never seen Welcome Back, Carter, you're just too young to understand. It's okay. Welcome back once again. Thank you to our commercials and sponsors and those who make this show possible. All right, so if you weren't here for the first few minutes, we are talking about pricing for your product and service. So we talked a little bit about how you know what to charge. I want to take it a little step further. So you all, these are the gems that I normally share with my clients who pay me well. So, and you're getting them for free. You're welcome. Okay, so here's what you need to know. When you have your product or service, especially if you are a service provider, you do not charge one flat fee. Now, there's nothing wrong with packages, but that's just that they should be plural. Everyone should have a tiered option, and there should be 3. Now, a lot of this goes to the psychology of it all, which I didn't do the studies. I just make sure to understand and review the studies so that we can apply that psychology to how we do business. So the thing is, they always say it should be in 3s. And if you really pay attention to the other people around you, you'll see that most people give you 3 options. There's a lower end option, a much higher end option, and somewhere in the middle. And where do you think most people land when it comes to the options? When they see your 3 options of packages and offering, where do you think that the majority of people land? If you said the middle, you're absolutely positively correct. 66% of all shoppers, it's not my study, I'm just sharing the information. I don't make the news, I just report it. Well, actually, I make the news as well. But in this case, I'm just sharing. 66% of all people, when they're shopping and trying to make a purchase, go for the middle. Because everyone has a sense of FOMO, this fear of missing out. And they have to show that they're not the cheap little person, and maybe they're not balling, but in between means they're getting enough of both worlds. That's the psychology behind it. And a lot of times, they don't even know that what they really want could have been, it might have been all they needed was just the starter kit. But most people, 66% according to the studies, will always pick the mid-tier. Then after that, you go, okay, well, that must mean everybody else must go low. No, 23% will go with your low package, your low-end package. And then 11% will go with high. That's the way that it works. So what that means for you is if you're just telling people, oh, come work with me and I will charge you $50 an hour, you are losing out. You're losing out, one, because you really should have funnels and packages and options and everything else. But also, there are going to be people who say, well, only $50? Then you're probably not as good as you say you are. You're going to have that group that's going to be like, oh my God, are you $50 an hour? But even they are looking at you going, oh, well, they must be providing something really special if it's $50 an hour when so-and-so over here is charging $13. Right? So you have to really think about the mentality of the people that you're dealing with. And the easiest way to do it is to have your 3 tiers, right? And sometimes the difference between tiers isn't all that special. You have to know your business, your product, your service. So I'll use the example. Right now, this is a heads up for those of you who don't know. We're having a mastermind retreat. I'm not talking about it yet because it hasn't been shared. The information isn't out there, right? And so that's going to be happening at the end of this year. So when all the details happen, I'll tell you about it. But right now, it's the example. So for this retreat, there is indeed, a lower, a mid, and a higher tier, right? So it's not only the retreat, which means we'll be staying in a lovely location by the water, because you know me, but they have options, right? There's a musical ensemble that'll be playing for those VIP. There's spa treatments. There's a chef, all right? But then you have people who will be off-site and who will be our Walmart shoppers. You are who you are. Let's accept it and move on. We'll have our Walmart shoppers, and they probably won't even stay on site. They might either drive in for the day and experience the event, or they might stay at, someplace that's going to be a little less expensive, but they're still going to get the quality of the meat, at least part of it. They'll be able to get a couple of days rather than the whole week. All right. So once again, you fit in where you go, but most people will always like, oh, let me get most of it, but I'm not willing to pay this or that. So that's my example, but that also means that there'll be options for some of you. It's like you're having a seminar. You have your seminar. The first option is you can watch it online. The second option might be you can come in and we might do some hand holding, but there's a workbook. Your high end might be not only can you come in, physically do this, it's going to be hands-on, but you bring in your special project and we're going to do something with you in particular. All right? And paying for that special touch can be a great markup for you in the work that you do. Now, all this is assuming that you're doing quality work, quality products, quality services, etc. If you're not, you won't stay in business long anyway. But in general, for everyone who's out there trying to figure out why should I price my stuff here or there, or what exactly should it be, you have to start off by going, okay, I know the value of what I'm doing. I know what markup I have to have. That's your base. And then you're going to go, how do I create this into my tiers? Not I'm crying, but my TIERS levels. So that's what I really want you to be thinking about for your business. How can I create packages, and how can I divide this up into tiers that in turn going to make me get more money than I would have, because more than likely you were pricing it all at the Walmart level anyway, because it was very one-dimensional. Now you're going to think about what are all the add-ins, what are all the things that I can add on that I can increase to make this have a more bundled value. And when you do that, you're already up in the ante and you'll get more sales because more people are going to land in the middle than they would have on the top or the bottom. So hopefully you're able to gain some information out of there. And I look forward to you letting us know how you are customizing your pricing, what you're doing to make some changes. Because I assure you, if you put in your tier model, you figure out what you're really costing yourself to do your product or service and give that uptake that you need to be successful and make a profit, you can win at this. All right, so there you go. Tips and tools for you to learn how to price your product or service. And now we have a commercial break, but don't go far. There's more. All right, now it's time for fashion and entrepreneurship with Ashley Jefferson.
Hello, and welcome back to Fashion and Entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Ashley Jefferson, owner of Very Ashley. And on today's episode, we're talking about Gen Z and their cell phones. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this is like the third or fourth time we've ran through this, and I don't want to keep starting over. So if I mess up on my words, sue me. Don't sue me. But if you wanted to, you can, because my man is an attorney. So, okay, here we go. Over the weekend, I conducted the very last session of Fashion and Entrepreneurship at the Metropolitan Business League's Youth Entrepreneurship Program. I think I'm stumbling over the words because, y'all, I'm really sad that this was the last session. I'm sad that I'm not seeing the kids for a whole nother semester. But that's okay. There's something that really big that happened this last class. And I'm going to be really authentic with you guys. The class is full of Gen Zers. Okay. Gen Zers, the young kids, they're underneath the millennials, and everybody expects them to be attached to their cell phones. Well, at the end of the class, I asked everybody what is something that they would like to do differently next semester. And you know what they all said? They want more classes, and they want more classes in person. They want to get away from their phones. I was a little bit shocked by that because I've been conditioned to believe that Gen Zers are stuck to their phones. Now, here's the thing. They do like having their cell phones with them because it's convenient. It gives them flexibility and time and all that. But they really are begging and crying for in-person connections and in-person relationships. So I'm logging on to WWD, which is Women Wears Daily. I read it every day. I read it daily. And here's what I saw pop up on the screen just this morning. Squarespace. And I think you all may know Squarespace. Squarespace actually is an online platform where you can build websites and you can also do some e-commerce and such. Squarespace actually conducted a survey of over 1,000 participants in these countries, the USA, Canada, the UK, and Australia, 1,000 people each. And what they found out is that half of Gen Zers expressed a desire to disconnect from their smartphones. What? So I just had a real life situation, and then I log on to WWD, and I'm seeing that this is a real situation on a mass scale as well. So what's up with that? Actually, Gen Zers want personal connections. They're feeling like they're at a loss, so they want to meet more people. Okay, so what does this mean for you? Because, we always got to bring it back to you and your business. Gen Zers will soon be adults. Right now, I think the oldest Gen Zer is like 25. They're going to soon be like millennials who are well in their 40s and then on up. Your business has to do that too. You need to connect with people online, but you also need, and this is important, you need to have face-to-face connections with your customers, with your clients, with whomever your niche is, your audience. You need to develop some interpersonal relationships where you can see, touch, feel, speak to them, just like we did back when there was no such thing as social media, cell phones, none of that. That is important, and that helps build credibility. If you listen to the last episode, we were talking about credibility and social media influence. Now, this is kind of going to push back on that, saying not only do you need to be on social media, you need to be in person. How are we going to do that if you have so many things going on, or if you're reaching people like your business is in London, but your customers are in the United States or vice versa? How are you going to do that? I'm going to tell you how to do that. You're going to go on social media. You're going to go on Zoom, not necessarily social media, but you're going to have Zoom or whatever, Skype sessions, Zoom sessions, whatever, and talk to people that way, because that kind of brings you together, even if you're not together. Another thing, if you can have little satellite sessions in your store or at a local library, a WeWork, Gather, whatever kind of co-op working space, you can bring people together once a week or at the very least once a month. That would be great, because now they can see you, they can establish a relationship with you, and they can really know who you are. Another thing, do not overlook phone service. You don't have to text everybody. Pick up the phone, call your customers, call your clients, and establish a real relationship with them. These are just a few tips, but they will definitely help you out. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to see you guys again. And thank you so much for being with me and being patient with me on this episode, which was a little emotional for me because I really love my students. Where can you find me? Ashley Jefferson. You can find me on shopveryashley.com. Also, log on to vastylemag.com to learn more about this story and so many others. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode of WorkHARDAholics, Fashion, and Entrepreneurship.
Ladies, are you looking to move your office from your kitchen table to a space of your own? Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Are you looking for co-working and community? Well, then come join us at the Women's Business Center, RVA, located at 1510 Willow Lawn Drive, Suite 100, directly across the street from the Kroger at Willow Lawn. Visit us on the web at wbcrva.com or on social media at WBCRVA. And coming up next, we have financial news you can use from Lawrence Roberts.
Hello, I'm Lawrence Roberts with Financial News You Can Use. Many people want to know about investing because they want to make money. They want their money to work for them. They want to have more than what they have. All these are good things, a good reason, good things to do. But first, before you even get there, please take the time to manage your money. Manage what you have, because you cannot manage what you have. You cannot have more. Older people would say, hey, or some church people will say, excuse me if I get it wrong, but the Lord's going to give you what you're supposed to have, and you got to manage, be a good steward of what you have, okay? That's not to say that I'm super religious for those people who are not religious, but please understand this. It's all about understanding what you have, the benefit of what you have, and how you're going to make more. Because if you're not managing what you have and your assets that you have, you cannot invest anything because you don't have anything extra to put aside. All right. So doing that, debt management is a very important part of investing. What is debt management? Okay, your mortgage, your credit card bills, student loans. If you have student loans, that's all a part of that. Understanding what you have, what goes out versus what comes in. When you're able to do that, you're able to do more with your money. Now that you're able to do that, emergency fund. Emergency fund is very important. Why do you build an emergency fund? Because without an emergency fund, what are you doing? We all got credit cards. You're going to go to the credit card. We all got somebody who has more money than you that you, or at least we think, or they act like it. You might borrow from your friend. Your friend really don't want to give you the money, but he would take care of you. He really wants you to pay the money back when you're supposed to, when you say you're going to do it. And many times, borrowing from friends ruins friendships. So, to avoid that, emergency fund, understand that. That's very important. Okay, what is really an emergency fund? What is an emergency? Let's define that. Well, it could be anything. It's about having your income or having money set aside that you can get access to. You don't always have to have all that emergency fund in a savings account, but you need to have access to it. Having access to a pile of money or access to money means that I can have it 2-3 days. I can have it no less than 5 days, but definitely under 2 weeks. That still could be part of your emergency fund. Because going to the bank sometimes is too easy because we have a tendency to spend that money. We don't need to spend every penny we have, okay? So now we understand what the emergency fund is. Because there's short-term emergency, that's that something happens, my refrigerator break down, washer and dryer break. We're not going without a refrigerator. It's not going to happen. You might want to go to a laundromat for a little bit, but after you've been living so long and without going to the laundromat, you're not going to like it. You're going to get a washer and dryer, whatever it takes, washer or dryer, to get that fixed. All right? You suffer through that, no problem. But that's that short-term emergency right there, 30 days. Then something else happens. You want something a little bit further out, 3 days, 3 months. Then you know the next stage out, hey, I need something maybe last for a whole year. That's loss of employment, loss of work, loss of income. Just because you lose your job does not mean the world ends. That's where the emergency fund comes in. That's the importance of having it. This is all part of investing, okay? Your retirement money, your 401k, your IRA is not your emergency money. Yes, you can get access to it, but please do not count that as part of your emergency money. That's that long-term money. Worst case scenario, if something happens, I can get access to this money. This is important. All this here. Now, investing opportunities. You still need to invest because this is an opportunity. The market's doing different things. It's going to do what it's going to do. Let's be real. Warren Buffett said it many times before. You can't count the market. You cannot predict the market, okay? But take the time to put your money aside. Take the time to manage your money, what you have. Again, I'm Lawrence Roberts from New York Live with financial news you can use. I can be reached at 804-746-3714. And you also can see me on my website if you have some additional questions and different things at www.lawrencevroberts. Again, I'm Lawrence Roberts with financial news you can use. Thank you.
Welcome back again. Okay, so earlier we were talking about pricing, how to determine your pricing model, your pricing structure, tiers, etc. And now I really want you to think about this. If you haven't heard the word funnel, and I don't mean funnel cake, although I love them very much, and I will be getting one this weekend because I have a season pass somewhere, and that's where I'm heading to get just that. But that's not the kind of funnel we're talking about, okay? If you haven't really thought about what it takes to get people in the door of your business, it's really expensive to acquire a client. all the marketing, the ads, the speaking, all the things you're doing to put yourself out in front of people, you finally get their attention. Then what do you do with them? You have finally gotten someone like, oh, yeah, I saw this. I saw your product. I saw your commercial. I saw your... Do you want them to just come over and buy one thing one time and that's the end of the conversation? So a lot of times right now we talk about funnel builders and how you get people in and then how you keep them in, etc. But here's the real question. What's next? So right now we're in June and it's graduation season. Everyone's graduating, matriculating. In our education, we always know what's next. We know there's pre-K. Pre-K goes to kindergarten. We go through elementary. We know we go through middle. We go through high school. We know we have the option of college. But even then, we know bachelor's, master's, doctorate. We know what happens next. Do you know what's supposed to happen next for your client with regards to your business? I'm really sure your answer is no. Most of the time we think about, let's get this person in to buy X. But if you're really thinking about the success of your client and the success of your business, there should be a game plan, a roadmap in place. All right, I'll use this example for you. So right now, another program that we're kicking off is called the WBC RVA Toolkit. Right now, it's only $25 a month. It's going to go to $100 a month. But right now, it's $25 a month. The whole point of this is that we bring people in and give them the foundational information that they need to know in order to build and grow a business, right? And it's an entry point. $25 a month, even $100 a month is dirt cheap when an hour of my time can now go upwards of $500. They're getting $25. They can come in and co-work every Thursday, and they're getting a seminar. They're getting a lot for this little itty-bitty price. It's actually, they're receiving far too much for what they're paying. But the point is, we're getting them in, we're giving them the education and foundation, and we know what happens next. This is basically elementary school. The toolkit is the elementary school level. So then what does middle school look like? That's what you need to be thinking about for your clients. Is it enough that they came in, they bought the one thing? Do you not have a next step? It will also help you to know how to grow, nurture, and build your business when you're thinking about your client and what happens next. Okay? So like I talked about the toolkit. Our people go through the toolkit, their next step, unless they're leaping over something else, because people do skip grades, all right? Their next step is actually they're going to go to a standard co-working situation with us. They're going to get a mailbox with us. And so the mailbox, of course, is necessary if you're going to have an LLC in the state of Virginia. So we're going to provide that. Then the next step for them, we have what we call virtual membership. So that means they're not ready for an office space, but they want to have a physical address and they want to have at least an hour of consultation each month. Then from there, they're going to actually grow up into their own space. All right. And then from there, we're going to continue to support them in other ways as ambassadors, and we're going to network them in and connect them on to do the things they need to do. Do you have that many steps in place where you understand where your client should be going next? Or are you going, oh, I'm going to teach them how to fish and then they'll be able to eat for life? Well, what happens if the waters dry up? What if the waters are polluted? So I use it as an example, but you need to legitimately be thinking, where should my client go next? And how do I provide that for them? So what if you have a business and you're like, well, we're more finite than that. I don't have a next step for them. Okay, then that means you should still know what their next step is. What does it take for them to level up? And then maybe your next step is to enter into a partnership agreement, a referral agreement, with an affiliate agreement with the next step of where they should be going to. So you're still making money and you're still thinking about the future of your client, and you're also communicating that with them. Who doesn't appreciate knowing that the person that they're working with actually has a roadmap for success for them? And even if you're not the one that's at every level of it, you've actually already considered what should happen next for them. Where should they go next? Who do they need to utilize? And then you've already taken the efforts to vet who they should be referred to. People appreciate you making it simple for them to do what they need to do without them having to beat their heads against the wall all the time. And because you are a business that in this case is doing good, you're already making those connections for them. And you can make money and do good at the same time. That's the point of a nonprofit. Hello. Okay. So once again, we talked about the pricing piece of it, but now I really want you to think about what's the roadmap for your customer. What do they need? What do you provide? And should your next item that you create be part of their next step of where they need to go to? These are things for you to consider, especially considering that we live in a world that's constantly changing, altering, building, moving. So I had a conversation with someone last week who does writing. And so we all know that AI is a big part of what's happening next. Now, if you're the one writing, AI it can feel like a threat. But if you have catered it in and maneuvered it in to be a part of your business, now that next threat can be an opportunity for you. These are the kind of things you want to consider. These are the kind of things you want to know. And this is how you're going to grow your business. And everybody's going to graduate, hopefully. All right. So once again, thanks for joining us here on the WorkHARDaholics Show. I am Shirley Crawford, your host. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, live better, do better, be better, and happy entrepreneuring. Ta-ta.
Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Repeat. Repeat.
Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDaholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDaholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.